saying only 91,000 is still a lot of people, but compared to the other competitors, they are a lot smaller. But even though they only employed 91,000 people, they were ranked number one in European land transportation and number two in air transportation. So that's definitely a big number considering that they are not employing nearly as many people, but they are still doing well. Being that FedEx ships all over the world, they're definitely known as a big competitor in the European area. So when we look at the positioning map, we're going to look at FedEx, their high prices and slower delivery. And then when you look at, Uber, EXL, Uber X, Uber Lux, they are quicker delivery, lower prices. They may be quicker delivery, lower prices, but these are also people that are under contract and they're not someone that's working for corporations such as UPS and FedEx. So people are less likely to trust some random person, picking up their package in, just a random car type of thing, as opposed to someone driving up in a FedEx or UPS truck. That's definitely a big difference for me in terms of, if I see some, young-looking guy in a Honda Civic picking up my package to go deliver it, a couple towns over, and it's something that feels important to me, I might want to go with something that's a little bit more expensive, even if it may take a little bit longer, just because they're trustworthy and they've been doing it for a while, and they I'm sure do a lot more background checks and all that type of stuff on their drivers and everything, as well as they Uber X and stuff might be quicker delivery, but it doesn't spread out, nearly as far as FedEx and UPS in terms of going out, out of country and all that type of stuff, and across the country as well. So that would be their positioning. So for their VALS model, I would definitely label them as achievers and innovators, mainly because they set out to achieve their customer goals of getting packages on time with great service. They have high resources and they are always thinking of different ways to innovate. They're thinking of different ways to help the consumer, different ways to lower operating costs, and that's something that plays a big role into what they like to do. And being that they're achievers, personally, they're always trying to make the customer happy, and they're finding different ways to get the packages there on time. How what can they do more? That's definitely something that they pride themselves on and always have. So for the BCG matrix, mine looks a little bit different. So for the market share on the left, basically the star would be Express in the top left. That's what they do the best on, and I know that's the biggest part of their market. And then the question mark would be ground and freight. Top to the right, because those different services are basically not as as steady as the Express would be. And this is just a BCG matrix on their company alone and different services. But then if we look at this model to the right, it's going to be the market share. And when you look at that, FedEx owns about 30% of the market, with DHL falling behind at 21%, and then everybody else is kind of pretty close. You got UPS that's sitting at 19, TNT sitting at 18, and then the others would be sitting at 12%. So right now, those three other companies besides FedEx are kind of bullying each other, trying to gain that extra inch over the other company, while FedEx is kind of sitting high at an extra 9% over the highest one, which would be DHL, and then sitting at an 11% more than UPS, and then sitting at 12% more compared to TNT. So for its pest analysis, when looking at the political environment, with FedEx being so spread out in the world, they must deal with different countries' rules and regulations. Things like stability and different countries in politics can be a cause for concern. FedEx has remained very successful in different markets all across the country, all across the world, because it abides by the various rules and regulations of each country. So they have to be very sensitive considering different customs, different ways different countries go about how they do their work and their business. They have to stand in between those guidelines and kind of make sure that they are not towing the line. So for the economic environment, with inflation and exchange slash interest rates constantly changing, they're always taken into consideration. These changes always affect the customer and can be positive or negative depending on the change. FedEx constantly, uh, most constantly, must constantly be flexible with its rates due to each country's current state of economy. Like I said, the FedEx leans on the U.S. economy the most, and when the U.S. economy is not doing so well, usually other economies around the world aren't doing so hot either because uh, the U.S. economy basically is what drives all other economies in the country. I mean, in the world, excuse me, and basically they need to be sensitive to what's going on in other economies and understand pricing and stuff has to change due to exchange and interest rates constantly moving around. So for social, when a country is very populated, it can lead to a big increase in revenue for FedEx due to the demand of their services from so many customers. Educational perspective can also be a huge factor because the more well versed a country is, the more important their services become. Um, so when a country is more well versed in what's important and understanding shipping and all that types of stuff, and understanding the different tracking that FedEx has to offer and stuff, and they're well educated, um, they're going to see FedEx as something that's big, and being in a very well populated area because FedEx is in so many different markets, so many different countries. From a social aspect, the more populated it is, the bigger increase, like I said, in revenue. For technology, in this day and age, you kind of need to advance your technology or you're going to get left behind. FedEx has done a great job in advancement in this field. The company offers electronic services all across the world. The fact that a customer is allowed to check the status of a shipment, its transactions, shipment transactions is a huge deal for their target market. Customers like the fact that they can check up on a package and see how far it's going, and basically at any step in the way of the process, they're able to see what's going on, and that definitely plays a huge role for them. So for porter strategies, the threat of new entrants would be low. FedEx has been around for 50 years, and in the U.S., the corporations tend to squash the smaller businesses and drive them away, as previously stated in my other slides. The only threat small businesses pose on FedEx is that they may be local and the prices might be a little bit lower. Being local could bring the cost down for customers as well as they can get the product there faster without forcing the customer to pay more. Um, that definitely is something that would be strong and important for smaller businesses, but FedEx does not see that as a problem considering they're spread out so far and in so many different cities and states in the U.S. alone, as opposed to in other countries as well. So they don't really see new entrants as a threat. Neither personally would I if they're looking at the different scenarios in math. So for bargaining power of customers, it's high. With customers being sensitive to prices, they are actually willing to pay less and wait longer. FedEx prides itself on its express orders, but was forced recently to restructure due to lack of differentiation from its competitors who are offering the same service at a lower cost. Customers feel like they aren't losing out if they switch to another big company if the prices are lower, but as stated before, sure, these companies are bigger and they've been around just as long as FedEx, but FedEx prides itself on customer satisfaction and customer service, and a kind, smiling face at the door can go a long way. And I know a lot of these other companies have had trouble when it comes to customer service, and feeling like you're not, you want to feel like your package was handled with care, and you want to feel like, you know, as a customer, you want to feel like you're almost as if like you're the only person in the room type of thing. You want to feel like even though they're just delivering a package and it might seem silly, they want to, in that short confrontation with a customer and the person delivering the package. They want to feel like they were treated with a five-star service, which is something that they pride themselves on. But as I said, the bargaining power of the customers is definitely high because there's not really big differentiation in this type of market, except prices and resources as well. So for supplier power, it's low to moderate. With FedEx trading at such a high volume, they don't see suppliers having much power against them since they are a big source of revenue for the suppliers. So suppliers really, it's like if in a big business, if you're working with an account that brings in tons of revenue and is constantly shipping, I mean, you got to think about it. FedEx is shipping millions of packages a day, and from a supplier standpoint, they're going to lose out on a big account. Even if it's small things, and they want to lower their pricing, or they want to try to restructure it. If FedEx decides to go with someone else, that's going to be a big loss for that supplier either way. And working with such a big trusted account like FedEx, even if it's you're trying to get a better price as a supplier and all that stuff, you still don't really have that much push considering you're working with a huge corporation like FedEx, and you don't want to lose their business. So for existing rivals, it's high. FedEx has many existing rivals that have also been around for a very long time. FedEx's change to technology and great customer service has kept them ahead of companies such as UPS and DHL. UPS is a big domestic competitor, and both UPS and FedEx often butt heads and match prices. So when it comes to DHL, they're a big competitor foreign wise, and they as well match prices, but they also have different resources and different networking and stuff, and they're a little bit more spread out in other countries. From customers can definitely easily switch, and like previously stated, FedEx offers little to no differentiation in services compared to its competitors. So definitely would think that its existing rivals are definitely high for sure. So for substitute products, it's definitely moderate. Um, with emails and fax machines being such a big thing nowadays, um, people don't really rely on FedEx to ship documents out anymore. Things like 3D printers are also cutting into their profits and becoming a problem for them as well. So, from a consumer standpoint, I'm not gonna ship out, important documents to somebody who, say, lives in the state over, and it might take a couple days when I can just fax something right on over. But at the same time, you also run the risk of, you know, getting hacked with your computer and stuff like that. If it's very sensitive documents and stuff, you may not want to do something like that over the computer, as because nowadays you really don't know who's watching your computer and stuff, and it might seem a little creepy, but that's just the day and age that we live in. So for Ansoft's product market expansion, grid product development, blockchain is implementing a new way to run its supply chain management. FedEx is hopping on board with this program, which will allow it to share information about shipments to its suppliers and different retailers. Blockchain's been a program that a lot of other companies have been going to, and FedEx sees them as a great opportunity to develop its products and definitely differentiate itself a little bit. Now this one's pretty cool. It's called vehicle autonomy. It's going to be huge for FedEx, but may also lead to some jobs being cut, which is definitely unfortunate. Vehicles will self-drive in the facilities and organize bulk packages in the facility. This will lead to more organization and less costs towards operations because they're not going to have to pay as many employees. It will also use analytics to make the road safer for the vehicles and drivers. So, from a PR standpoint, some might think this is cool and good because they don't got to worry about somebody messing up when it comes to machines and stuff. A lot of times these programs are so good that you don't really feel like they're gonna mess up. And but on the other side of it, it could lead to a little bit of a PR problem because cutbacks of people getting fired and stuff because nowadays people are scared that machines are going to start doing the easy jobs that you know that some people are doing, and this is gonna obviously, like I said, definitely cut operation costs down, because they're not gonna have to pay benefits to people, 401ks, different types of things.